we talked earlier about asking what your website's for, but an equally important question is to ask who it's for. So this is a conversation about audience, that big word that everybody knows. We deal with audience and brand. If brand is a story or a narrative, audience is your characters, right? When we look at it in brand, it's a more broad picture. It's emotional. It's about desire. It's about solving larger problems. Audience focus, however, is also a core proponent of content design on the more functional and tactical end of building experiences. Content design, if you remember, is using data and evidence to give an audience what it needs at the time that they need it in a way that they expect and is useful. So we honor audience first thinking in content design in a whole bunch of ways, from content discovery, which we talked about a lot in the content design article and recording, to crafting user stories and job stories, to research, which I'm going to talk about both of those things a little bit today. I think that this idea of audience exploration is something that's pretty well known. I mean, I don't think anybody really goes into making a website anymore and says, I don't know who this is for. You're going to ask that question on a basic level, but we can always use some polishing up of that skill of stepping out of our own skin and out of our own lived experiences and trying to build something that's just not for you. Everyone brings ego to their work. You always, at some point, are going to default back to the position of thinking, what do I think about this? What would I do in this situation? And because you're the expert creative, because you're the person building, you have a lot of information that is probably valid, but most of the time, you are not the audience of this website. So it bears repeating, and it bears giving yourself a few little reminders along the way that because you might approach it this way doesn't necessarily mean the person that you're building the site for will. So that's just my caveat to audiences. So there's a couple of steps that I would say in determining who your website is for and then planning the next steps in the process or giving yourself that foundation to work from. And the first part of that, step one, is audience discovery. That is a very broad term, and it can take on a bunch of different kind of faces, right? You can do it a lot of different ways. We tend to conduct audience discovery in two major ways, and that's one, during a content or brand discovery workshop. And I'm going to show you how we do that here in a minute on FigJam. And the other way we do that is through interviews and desk research, which is basically just put it together. That's research. And I'll talk about that in a minute too. So I'm going to share my screen. If I can we are looking, if I zoom out a little bit, you'll see how big this thing is, but we're looking at a full brand or content discovery here. Actually, this is a brand discovery. And so we're focusing a lot on audience in this discovery. It's a blank one, pretty much. But I'll walk you through what we typically talk about during audience discovery on a content discovery or brand discovery. So first, you're going to want to, talk about what do you think your audiences are. If you're lucky, there will be one big, run ring to rule them all audience. Usually you're not that lucky. But you want to get your client to tell you what the main audiences are and then prioritize them. Say, look, who's the primary person or type of person we're trying to speak to here? And if they say there's two, that's fine. But we'll try to put one person out front in this exercise. And then we're going to put them along this other axis here that goes through. And we're going to talk first about each individual audience. And I guess maybe we'll do one here. We'll say single moms. All right. So we'll put that there in audience one. So we talk about then in that box, who are they? Well, they're 25 to 35. This is the demographic box. This is the box that typical personas, and especially marketing and messaging personas, tend to sort of dwell in. They live in X part of the country, or they're global. They have limited income. They have a lot of income. You're going to get these basics sort of out there in this first box. The next thing you're going to ask is, what are their frustrations? What bothers them? And that isn't just a broad question, like, the state of politics bothers them. The fact that ice cream cartons are smaller than they used to be bothers them. But that's only pertinent if you're selling ice cream, right? So let's say that that's your product. You're selling cartons of ice cream, and their frustration is that the cartons are too small. In 2020, they had 18 ounces, and now they only have 16 ounces, and they feel like you're trying to trick them. So that's their frustration. What's their motivation? Why are they out there looking for the information that you can give them? Why are they out there trying to buy the product that you sell? What is this is, kind of a needs, but said a different way, right? What motivates them? Their kids love ice cream. They love ice cream. They are the PTA leader, and they need to bring ice cream once a week, something like that. What are their goals? This can be pretty simple in the ice cream case. They need to find a brand that is economical and tastes really good. They need to provide something that's going to satisfy a group. They need to provide a product that has dietary sensitivities. It's gluten-free. It's dairy-free. Those are their goals that they're looking to. What are they looking to get? Sensitivities. I just mentioned a few. They may be sensitive to the fact that they feel like they're not getting enough value for what they buy. They might be sensitive to, those Ben and Jerry guys are just jerks, and I can't stand them. So, no one can't stand Ben and Jerry, but hypothetically, they're nice guys. But they feel a little like that kind of fun stuff is overbearing. They just want their damn ice cream. What's their sensitivities? And then jobs to be done, which I'm going to talk about in more detail a little bit later. But this is one that's sort of very pertinent to creating a website for this audience. And that's why it's in a content discovery. It might not be included in a brand discovery where we're talking sort of bigger problems and bigger ideas. But what are the things that they have to accomplish on this website that we're building? They have to be able to read the ingredients. They have to know the price of something. They need to, let's say it's an online ice cream shop. They need to be able to check out and buy something without a lot of hassle, without a lot of clicks. So those are their jobs to be done. So what we would do is we would go through that list for every audience that the client would want to position their website toward. And that's going to give you, as you can see, a whole lot of information about that person. And so then we would combine that with some other things